Hey y'all, it's your girl Mac. This is Mac Talks Music and Reviews. I do reviews of Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiancé when the show is right. It's not right this time. Not watching Happily Ever After right now. It's not good. Gonna get into the Encore and some other music related shows and films. But right now I am reviewing Love After Lockup. Season 3, episode 37 should be season 4, episode 4, but I don't know what's wrong with these producers of this show. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk about Brittany and Ray real quick because they had a short scene, not a lot happened. I mean, we did get to see Ray finally. And what I do want to say, like, this episode, for the first 20 minutes, my mouth was just gaping. Like, it was so much awkwardness, uncomfortableness, and shock. Like, I mean, the whole episode, it was like, I was just in shock. So, let's start with Brittany and Ray. So apparently, the grandma finds out that the reason they put him back in the bus is because they weren't supposed to pick him up there. He was supposed to get on another bus or get back on the bus and get dropped off somewhere else. So they just followed that bus wherever the next place was that they dropped him off. That's when but they couldn't come out the car. He had to come to them for some reason, it seemed like. So Brittany jumps out the car because she wants to hug him before he hugs his family. And I thought, like, that was kind of selfish of her. I understand she was excited and she wanted to see him, like, but I feel like it would have been more respectful and considerate for her to allow this man to see his father, his mother, and his grandmother first. Like, but it was still like, he hugged her, he kissed her. Like, I was expecting him to kind of not be but he seemed to be, like, it looked like they had chemistry. And he even said, like, he wished that they could have spent time alone, but his family wanted to be there. So I was like, okay. And even when they were in the car, like, he was looking at her, like, so it did seem like there was a vibe between them, which I don't know why. I was kind of expecting him not to be that into her, but, we will see. So then when she did do that, I thought the parents might be irritated or something, but, like, the stepmom was just like, oh, she kissing my baby, and the grandma was laughing. So they were, like, actually nice and easy going about it, which I was glad. I thought they might be stank, but they weren't. And then he did come around and hug all of them. And then, so then we learn about Ray. And, child? Poor Ray, my God. His mother was shot and killed when he was 11 years old. His parents had gotten divorced, so he was living with his mom. And he said they never found out who killed his mom. They never found out why. And I'm like, they never found... What? And he felt like he became really angry after that, and that made it worse because it's like, at least if he would have been able to know who did it or why, he could have had some closure, but he never found that out. So he served 3 years and 10 months in federal prison because him and people he was with were stealing medications from pharmacies and then going and selling them on the street. And then he also started taking some of the drugs. And, I mean, you can even see how he was talking, like he seems like his whole vibe when he was looking at, like, he was talking about his mom and what he went through. Like, you could see some of the sadness there. So, as opposed to even, Dougie and Lisa, who seemed a little more sprightly and were, like, more engaged. They were serious, but he was kind of more, like, reserved and, maybe he's traumatized from prison or he feels ashamed. But, yeah, that was just, I had to pause the video because I was watching it on the replay and I was just like, oh my gosh, this poor man. But yeah, he's going to be going to a halfway house, which I don't even understand. If he was going to a halfway house, why didn't she just tell his parents that he was going to a halfway house? They asked who he was going to stay with. Why didn't she just say he's going to a halfway house? And I don't think he's going to stay with her. I think he's going to look at his parents' house. He going to stay with them. So, Yeah, I hope Ray finds his healing. That is so tough. I mean, but at least the fact that he has a stepmom and a dad, you know, at least he wasn't left all alone. He has some support. So, but I hope he gets some healing, because that's terrible. You know, that's, oh my God, your mother die in a violent way like that at 11 years old. Whew, I feel for him. So next, Stan and Lisa, let's talk about them. So we finally get to see Lisa, and Lisa was not lying when she said she looked like a man. Okay, not a butch female, a man. Period. Okay, her hairstyle, how she was dressed, her whole vibe, and her, like, how she was carrying herself was completely masculine. And not like hard masculine, like she has soft skin. You know, she looks good in the face for somebody who's lived the lifestyle she's lived. She looks her age, and she looked good in the face, but like she doesn't look older than what she is. She doesn't look haggard. So she looked healthy, actually. When I say healthy, meaning she didn't look broke down. Like, we've seen some people come out of prison off this show, and ooh, child, they look terrible. So she looked pretty good, but even the haircut was a masculine haircut. Like, it wasn't a female, like, you know, we see women that have short haircuts and they're still feminine. It wasn't like a feminine haircut. And now I'm questioning if she did get her hair snatched in the fight, because the haircut looked nice. Like, it didn't look like they just shaved her hair. Like, they styled it and stuff. And so, I don't know, but, I'm surprised that Stan wasn't more shocked. Maybe I need to watch it again, but I thought he would be like, I mean, I don't think he recognized her at first, but he was still excited and was still like all over, like hugging her. And I was like, I thought he might be like a little hesitant, but he was still excited. And, it was wild to see her looking like that, but, she definitely did look like a man though. She did. So we learn more about Lisa. Now she taught, okay, Lisa, she tried to explain the situation with her being married. She says that she got married at 17 years old, which I was like, what? Why? What? And but the man abused her, and then she left him, and he ended up taking pills and died. Like, he committed suicide, which the next time that my mouth was gaping, and because I was like, what? And then she said she got married again after that, but she didn't like get divorced. And I was like, how were you able to get married a second time? Maybe she got married in another state. But so she needs to get that taken care of. And she also has 3 kids, and her oldest child is a 22-year-old boy. She said she's missed out on a lot of his life, and they don't have a great relationship, and he's angry at her over that. And her son calls her on the phone, so it's like he knew immediately that when she was going to be off, and he called her, and she says that he's telling her that he feels alone, and he feels like no one cares about him, and you know, he feels like, you know, he doesn't have support. And I was like, wow. And I thought she actually handled it well when she was on the phone. She was just trying to tell him, hey, what do you need from me? Listen, you know, we can work on this. Like, she actually was trying to listen, it seemed like. And but, you know, with Stan being there, with the cameras there, I think she was trying to hold herself, right? And I actually think she did a good job of not, like, sounding disrespectful or anything or rude to her son, kind of holding herself. But when she told Stan, well, because even how she spoke was a little, you know, she tried to kind of be vague, but I think he asked her about what happened, and she straight up told him, his response was not good. His response was not good. Stan said, oh, you want to like just break away or solve those problems or something. And it sounded like he was saying you need to just ignore that or not deal with that or something. And I was like, why would he say that? Like, I mean, I know I'm going to get into why I think he said that, but considering that he has kids, I would think that he would have been a little more compassionate or considerate, because he has children and he's raised his kids and he's been a parent. So I would have thought he would have been like, yeah, you know, it can be hard with kids. Like, I thought he would have answered better considering that he is a parent and he's been there, but he didn't. Or he could have just been quiet and just been like, man, like, how do you feel about that? Or it sounds like you feel sad, or, like, he didn't even attempt to really listen and respond in I don't know, like, his response was just whack. I was like, what? And she got mad. She was like, wait, what are you trying to say? Like, you telling me I need to break away from my son? And then he tried to clean it up, and I was like, nah, no, sir. So he's saying, like, oh, it seems like now she's going to be more focused on her family. And I was like, of course she is. Like, you're not, she just, what? Yeah, her family's going to be, her kids are going to be a priority before you. Like, your kids are grown, so maybe it seems like he doesn't care what his kids think. But with her kids are younger, and she hasn't been in their lives, so, she's getting out of prison. So, of course, like, why would you not think that that would be important for her? So now let me talk about, like, what it was like between them. Like, he was excited and kind of all over her. She was hugging him back, but it was kind of awkward. Like, when they got in the car, he kept trying to hug her, and he showed her the wigs, and she was not feeling them. Of course she wasn't, because they ain't look that great. But he's immediately trying to get her to put the wigs on, and he's talking creepy, saying, oh, I can't wait to be alone with her, to have alone time, intimate time. Like, it was so creepy. And she doesn't want to try the wigs at first, but she ends up putting one of them on, and it looks terrible because the wig is not good. And she even asked him, like, is this real hair? And I'm like, even she, who may not even, I don't know if she's worn wigs before, even she could look at it and tell it was synthetic. And even it's okay if it's synthetic, but it didn't even look like it could pass. Like, they look like Party City wigs. Like, the chick, not knocking her wigs weren't terrible, but she scammed him. She didn't want to sell him human hair wigs or lace fronts, so she just sold him some cheap synthetic ones and charged him $1,300. And listen, girl, get your coin. But yeah, now Lisa also said something. Well, let me say something about the wigs also, though. In her confessional, she looked completely different. In the confessional, she put on a nicer wig. It was a headband wig, except it was curly on the top, but I could see straight strands at the bottom, which confused me. So I don't know if this was a human hair wig and she curled it herself and she forgot the bottom. I don't know what was going on there, but it would have looked good were it not for the straight. If you didn't notice the straight, it was like, okay, it looks good. Her makeup looks good. Like, it looks like she knows how to do her makeup well, because I saw some contouring. Like, she looked good when she did her makeup and everything, and her jewelry and all that. She looked cute. Definitely looked like a completely different person. I was like, these are two different people. Like, as if they were twins. Like, that's the boy twin and she's the female twin. So she mentions, like, his basement, and she shows a picture on her tablet of a straitjacket that apparently is in his basement. And I was a little shocked that she showed that. Like, that was jarring. But I'm not shocked that Stan may possibly be into BDSM or domination or whatever that stuff is. I'm not shocked because when he said, first of all, basement, why did he say room? When she said, we're going to do what we did in the basement, why would it not be in his room? That's number one. Number two, when he said he's open to anything, he's down for anything, that showed me that he probably is open to some things sexually. And so I wasn't shocked. I was shocked that she showed us it. If she had just said he's into, like, certain things, I would have been like, okay. I was shocked that she showed it. And I was like, well, I don't I want to see this. So, but she didn't seem, like, weirded out at all. So maybe she's into that stuff too, because she was just like, oh yeah, he's into this. Like, she was real calm with it. So maybe she likes that stuff as well. Maybe, they're both into that stuff. But she didn't really comment too much after that. So, and like I said, he was just being really creepy. And he was like, when they were in the car, like I said, he was like, oh, we gonna get to, later. And when she said she doesn't like the wigs, and he was like, well, you need to. He said something like that, like, you need to get into the wigs. And it was just, it was like funny, awkward, and not funny. It was awkward, and he was being creepy, and I feel like she was trying to kind of show affection to him, but at the same time, it's almost like, I don't know, like she didn't seem that into him, but she said something. She said that she's attracted to women, and that if it wasn't for Stan, she wouldn't be with another man. So that's why I was like, I don't know if that claim about the fight was true, because if she's attracted to women, it may be that she just cut her hair because she wanted to look more masculine, for the women she was dealing with in prison. Maybe she had a girlfriend or two in there. So because she's saying straight up, I like women, I'm only dealing with him. She was on a sugar baby website. She just wanted support. So, and she said she wouldn't date any other men if it wasn't for him. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know. Now knowing that Stan has maybe a sex dungeon or something, I was concerned about his safety with her, which I still am. But now I'm a little concerned about her safety. But yeah, so let us move on. I'm going to talk about Anissa and Jeff, the new couple, who I don't know if they're going to last. Anissa is from Tennessee. She's 51 years old and Jeff is 39. So Anissa says she's been a cougar her whole life. Her first marriage was when she was 28 years old and she married a 19-year-old. And I was like, Houseway, how in the world at 28 years old, did you get a 19-year-old boy? Because that's a boy, that's not a man, to propose to you. Not saying like 19-year-old boys don't marry 28-year-old women. 19 boys don't get married. So I was so confused. But she is 51, and this is when she was 28. It was a while back. And she said that he was nice and he was great, and she just got bored with him. And I was like, is she telling us the whole story? But I was like, I'm gonna need more details, ma'am. You just got bored with him. But she did say it was all about like looks and sex, I guess. Maybe she wasn't that into him. But she says that she met this guy, Jeff, of course, on a prison dating site 11 years ago. So 11 years ago would have been when she was 40 and he was 29. So yeah, 11 years. That tripped me out. I was like, that was another thing. I was like, this whole episode, I was just in shock. Like, everybody was saying stuff that had me in shock and just had me at a loss for words and had me just like uncomfortable, like the whole episode. So she said he proposed to her over the phone. I don't know at what point that he did that. She said that he got out of prison twice and they were supposed to meet and he didn't show up. So I was like, ma'am, I don't know if she's coming on the show because she hopes that because it's a TV show that he'll show up for the paycheck. But girl, he could stand you up regardless. And that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know that we're going to see this guy. Her friends are not sure that he's real. I mean, part of me is like, well, he's obviously real. Like, I don't know if they mean that she's making him up. But I don't know if they're saying catfish. I'm like, how do you catfish from prison? I mean, you could catfish from prison, but I mean, on a prison dating site, right? Like, unless you're on a regular dating site and you use somebody else's photos. But he could be using older photos of himself. He could use photos of somebody else. That's possible. So I guess, yeah, actually you could catfish. But it just sounds like he didn't want to deal with her and just stood her up. And I'm not sure why after that she didn't just find somebody else if she's a cougar. It looks like she lives in the country. But, I mean, Tennessee, she could go up to Knoxville or Nashville and find... in fact, she could just go on regular dating sites. It's probably females on Seeking Arrangements in them. Like, I don't know. I was like, ma'am, if you're a cougar, why aren't you just out here cougaring in the regular world? I don't know. But, so... I don't understand why she went on a prison dating site. I don't get it yet. But she said she thinks he's going to show up this time. We see her go with her friend to buy a wedding dress. And her friend, I usually don't comment on like straight or wavy hair because like straight and wavy hair is so plentiful in the world and always gets complimented. But I liked her hair, her friend's hair. I was like, did her friend just come from an event? I mean, she was dressed regular, but she probably got her hair done to be on the show, and her makeup looked nice. I was like, you get some good looking women in their 50s. For white women, they were in good. I'm sorry, for just in their 50s, they look good. They were in good shape. Faces look good, hair look good. They were good looking. So she picks out a dress. She's telling the sales associate, you know, they always do that, and it's just, I don't even know if that sales associate was a real one or an actress, because she got up in the business real quick. She was like, oh, how do you know he gonna show up? That sounds crazy. And I'm like, why are you giving all your opinions, ma'am? Do your job. Because, I mean, in my mind, if I'm a sales associate, I'm gonna be like, that's crazy, but I want to sell and get my commission. So what do I care? Buy the dress, please. Good luck with your situation. So, but I understand either if she's an actress or if she is not, and she's actually a real sales associate, that the show, you know, they found this establishment, and then they said, hey, do you have any employees that would agree to appear on camera and make some comments, and maybe that was it. But yeah, so I didn't hear from her whether she's ever visited him in prison. That's why I was like, when her friends were asking her, is he real? I'm like, have you not visited him over 11 years? Have you never seen him, gone to the prison and seen him and spoken to him? Like, I was confused. She never clarified that. She said that he's been in solitary confinement, so he only gets one call a week. And I'm like, well, has it been like that the whole 11 years? Like, there was a lot of questions with this one, because 11 years. I'm like, why have you been spending the entire decade of your 40s with this? Like, what's going on? Like, it didn't make sense. You know, her friends are really concerned about her. And I'm just not sure what's going on with this lady. I don't know if this guy's going to show up. I forgot to say, he went into prison for possession of a firearm, and she said drugs. I don't know if he was selling drugs or using drugs. But, okay, so I'm going to save Deontay and Nicole for last, because, Lord have mercy. Let me talk about Rachel and Doug. So, you know, Rachel and Doug, they get to the hotel room. They ready to go. They do their little thizzle. You know, they do the bounce shicky wow wow, you know, and they're good. We find out by looking when they're getting ready to leave the hotel room that Dougie has tattoos on his entire body. He had tattoos down his legs. I was like, sir, wow. Like, wow. I mean, well-placed tattoos can be attractive, but from the neck all the way down to the ankles, that's a lot. I mean, does he have them on his thighs? Are they on his anyways, so when they're leaving, you know, he's in the confessional. He's saying, you know what, I understand my rules that I have to follow. I'm gonna follow them, you know. And it sounds like he's accepting the rules. He's not sounding like he was on the phone. And you know, she's like, who's the boss now? And he's like, you're the boss, but he says, for now. And I was like, what you mean for now? So he's not acting as out of pocket as we heard him on the phone. I don't know if that's just because he's really glad because he got some. I don't know if he's seeing that Rachel, because she was in the military, like, she's little, but she ain't playing games, like, but he seemed to be a lot more calmed down and just really glad to be with her, actually. So he also says that he hasn't really ever been in a serious relationship, which makes sense because he's been in prison since he was 17. How could he be in any serious relationships? And he pretty much said he just has always juggled several women at a time, which again makes sense when you were a teenager and when you were in prison. But he's saying that he loves Rachel and he feels like she's the right woman for him and he really wants to be with her and he wants to make this work. And he's saying some of the right things. So he's not sounding abusive, but we'll see. He said that his son was 1.5 years old when he went to prison. So he was a teen parent. And then he just saw him a little bit when he got out for the 40 days and went back in. She asked him, like, hey, are you excited to see Dougie? How do you feel? And he was just like, yeah, I'm excited. He seemed very uninterested in his child. Yeah, we gonna see about that. So when they get to the house, they're driving up to the neighborhood, and he's like, oh, this is a nice neighborhood. I ain't grow up in all this. If I was in this neighborhood, it was to steal something, okay, from a house like this. And I was like, and he comes in the house, and he's just like, wow, this is nice. I'm the man of this house. And I'm like, you're the man of this house? Do you pay bills, sir? Are you about to pay bills? Can you what? How that's gonna work? Like, how, if you're a woman, I don't know, you're paying all the bills and you're providing, how is your dude the man of the house if he's not paying bills, if he's not contributing to the house, not only financially, but like cutting the lawn or paying to get the lawn manicured and landscaped? If he's not maintaining the house, paying people to maintain the house. Is he cooking? Is he cleaning? Is he paying somebody to clean and cook? Like, what, what makes you the man of the house? Because you're there? Like, I mean, I don't know how that's going to work with them. But, so, she said this relationship is different. She feels like it's different as well. He pretty much is telling the camera. I don't know if this camera, because of COVID, I don't know if this is a tripod or if this is a person that's in the room with them, a camera person. But he's telling the camera, like, hey, this is a great situation. This house, her, she's great, and I don't want to mess this up. I'm gonna do what I have to do to maintain and be with her. I'm with her for the rest of my life. I'm in this for the long haul. And he's like, me and my son, this is a great deal for us. We don't need to go back to where we were, so we ain't gonna mess this up. And it's almost like he was saying, like my son better not mess this up. Like, he better not do anything. And I was like, sir, your son has been living with her. He's been cool. He knows how to deal with her. You're the one who needs to watch yourself and not mess up, So, yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting that he's not sounding as aggressive as he did on the phone, but he is sounding like he really likes Rachel and he really wants to make this work. And I hope he does. I hope they make it work, because Rachel has the most to lose out of everybody on this show. I feel like Rachel is really taking a huge risk right now, because, she's bringing this man into this suburban, or this middle class community. She doesn't know how he might act. She doesn't know who he might bring around. She doesn't know if he's going to act right. She doesn't know if he's going to try to be controlling, if he's going to be abusive to the son or be present with the son, or if he's going to just defer to her. And, I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. But yeah, so I feel like she's really taking the biggest risks out of everybody. And I think out of everyone on the show, Dougie has the biggest glow up. He has the biggest come up with her. Like, the gulf between her and him is huge. Her being a woman with a career, having this house, living in this neighborhood, being a good looking woman, not having any baggage. He's right. Like, I hope that he understands that he really lucked out with her. That's why he's with her. Of all the women he was talking to, she was the one that, offered the most to him and was willing to be committed. And he's like, heck yeah, I'm taking this opportunity. Who wouldn't in his position? So I hope it works out for her sake. And then, so yeah, I hope it works out for them. Now let's talk about Deontay. This boy, whoo, child. Oh my goodness. Listen. Okay, so Nicole, her mom is doing her hair. Big surprise, she's not a natural blonde. So her mom's re-dyeing her hair. And her mom's asking her, how are you feeling? And she tells her mom, I have no anxiety. She just told Deontay the day before, whatever time before, that she has anxiety and she doesn't want people touching her. Obviously, we saw her hugging her mom, and now she's telling her she has no anxiety. I mean, it was obvious that she was lying just because she didn't want him to touch her. But, there's the confirmation more so. We find out that Nicole's mom, when she went to prison, was married. Now, she said she had been divorced from a man. She didn't say my father. So she didn't mention her dad. But she said her mom had been divorced from a guy, and now she's married to a woman. And I was like, oh, okay. Are we going to see her stepmom? Is she going to be a part of this? And she's telling her mom that she's thinking about her ex. Apparently she had a guy that she was with before she went in prison. And she was like, it wasn't something we wanted. We didn't want to break up. We broke up because I went to prison. And that's the guy that she was texting, Zach, or girl. Well, I don't know. The guy she was texting, and she's saying she wants to see him again. So then her mom, I wanted to see how her mom was. Is her mom like her? Is this like a mother who also was a drug addict and is a hot mess, or is this a normal mom? What's the dynamic? They do seem to have a good dynamic. I didn't detect any negativity or anything. They seem like the mom clearly, I don't know if the mom's a hairdresser. She knows how to do dye well because she has pink hair and it looks good. But she was dyeing her hair. But anyways, so the mom was like, yo, if that's the case, you should be honest with Deontay and not take advantage of him. Because I think even the mom she could already tell Deontay is probably real into her. And she's telling her that, and then she's asking her, like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? What are your plans? And the girl, what's her name? Nicole with 2 L's, was like, I don't know. I just want to let him take care of me and see what happens. And I was like, okay. I mean, you don't have to tell everybody your plans, but like, that's it. She didn't say, I want to stay out of trouble. I'm not trying to go back to prison. I just want to find a way to make money, get a job, go to school, like nothing. Like, wow. Or again, maybe she doesn't want to say it on camera, but, and the mom pretty much says what we all could tell about Nicole immediately. The mom is like, look, she is more about things than she is about relationships. So that's why I was telling her to be honest with Deontay, because I don't really think she's serious. And that just confirmed what we could all tell. I was a little hesitant about calling her materialistic yet, but it came off, it was obvious she was more interested in things he gave him than her. But for the mom to confirm that, it's like, okay, because parents, they know the truth about their kids. She's willing to tell the truth. She's like, listen, I know my daughter. So, yeah. So, Deontay's coming over. He shows up and he is very nervous to meet her mom. I thought he walked to the side of the house. And I was like, why didn't he knock? Did they tell him to come to the side of the house? Because usually if you're going to somebody's house and you've never been there before, you just knock. Even if they're expecting you, you knock, or you text them and say, hey, I'm outside, and maybe they'll open the door, or you'll just, I didn't understand why he walked to the side and was like all awkward like that. And the mom was like, why are you like that? Or she could tell he was nervous immediately because it was so obvious. And then he was like, I'm a little nervous, and he did say that he was nervous. So then he sits down to talk with the mom, and instead of like telling her about himself, just saying, hey, this is what I do for a living, whatever, this is me, he like immediately he tells her that they are engaged. I'm putting air quotes around that. And then the mom was like, engaged? And then he was like, yeah. And then he was like, she didn't tell you? And she was like, no. So then he says that, when he went to visit her one time, he gave her a ring and proposed to her, and she said yes. And he was like, well, she said yes, so we're engaged. And then the mom goes and asks Nicole, and then Nicole's like, what? We ain't effing engaged, whatever. She gets mad. And she goes, and why the F you telling my mom that we're engaged? And he was like, because we are engaged. What you talking about? And I'm like, it's like, this dude really does not pay attention to the things this girl says to him. Like, I don't understand why he has selective listening. He's blocking out all her words, her body language. Like, she's not exactly lying to him. Like, usually the people that we see on this show are scamming and they perpetrate, but he's being pretty direct. And it's like he's just not listening to her. He's not paying attention to her direct words and actions. And so if she comes out and she's irritated and she's like, and she's mad that you're telling her mom that you're engaged, y'all are not engaged. And she said that apparently he came and she told him she wanted like a ring, but she didn't say that she'd marry him. So I'm not sure. Oh, she said that he was like, oh, well, I guess you might as well marry me. And then she was like, yeah. And I'm like, that's not so what are you talking about? That's not a proposal. And she was like, when I get proposed to, I want it to be, set up in a certain way and on bended knee, so I was like, why is there such miscommunication when the girl's being pretty direct with him? So he's just choosing not to see it for what it is. Now, when he's talking to the mom is like, oh, are you talking to other people? Because she's trying to see if maybe, he's not see if he's invested, because she can see her daughter's not. And he's like, no, I'm not talking to other people. In fact, he tells her about the toy. And I was like, what are you doing? So what is going on? What is happening? Why are you telling this woman about this sex toy? Like, I was in shock. I mean, this dude, I don't know what is wrong with him. Like, could he have autism for real? Like, again, I don't know if anyone who's listening who has autism, no offense, I don't know, but I just have heard that that autism affects the social part of the brain. And it seems like he has no inhibitions. Why would you think it's okay to tell the mother of the girl you're dating or you're talking to that you have a sex toy? Like, why are the producers telling him to say these things and he's agreeing? And it's like, why are you agreeing? Like, I mean, oh my gosh, like, I could not believe he told her that. That woman was just disturbed and in shock and just like, who the heck is this dude? Oh my God, that was so uncomfortable to watch and so embarrassing, but he wasn't uncomfortable or embarrassed. Like, and then she said, I got my eye on you, which is like the same thing that his mom said. So I don't know if the producers told her to say it or if that's just a mom thing, but Lord have mercy, he's just really clueless. And then he goes outside and he says, oh, he thinks the conversation with the mom went well. And I was like, were you there? Like, it didn't go well, sir. What are you talking about? Like, and then he says that he's getting irritated after, Nicole says what she says, and he's like, man, I thought that we were cool, but ever since I picked her up yesterday, she just has not been responding well. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's pacing, but he's like, man, I just can't let her go. And I'm like, why? Why you can't let her go? Like, and I don't know if it's because of the money and the gifts, but it's like, take your stuff back. Tell her to give you it all back. Tell her to give you your money back. Like, what? And if she doesn't, be done with her. Like, what? I mean, what? I wonder if he has low self-esteem. Like, that whole scene was uncomfortable. It was awkward. I was in shock. I was like, this dude is, because it's not even like Scott and Lizzie from the first season, because Lizzie was kind of perpetrating with him. She was pretending she would kiss him. She would be all up on him. Like, she was doing things to still keep his interest. But this girl's not doing nothing. Like, she's being very direct, showing that she doesn't like him, being very straightforward, and he's just ignoring it. And it's so obvious that she does not want him. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong? Like, why are you ignoring these red flags? It's not even red flags. It's clear and obvious, straightforward. She don't want you. Like, and he said it. He said, I feel like the love I'm giving is not being reciprocated. It's not. It's not. And it's not going to be. Like, so now he's just being dumb because he's purposely ignoring what he can obviously see. Like, it's obvious and clear, and he's still ignoring it. And I'm like, what? Which, that's what makes me think, okay, he's not autistic. He sees what's going on. He can see the social cues. Like, what? Okay, so that was Love After Lockup. We didn't see Courtney and Josh. So yeah, we will see. It's getting interesting. This episode was very cringeworthy and very shocking and uncomfortable, and and there was a lot of disturbing, hearing Lisa's story. I feel for her. I hope she gets healed and that she's able to heal her relationships with her children. I hope Ray gets his healing. I hope Brittany and him, I don't know what's gonna happen with them. I feel like they're the couple that there's like mystery around them. I want to see more of them interact. I want to see how Ray acts. Is he trying to change his life? Is he just really scarred from what he's been through? I want to see if this guy Jeff will show up for Anissa, or if it will be like Angela and Tony, and I don't know. So yeah, it was a good episode. It's getting good. So thank you for listening, guys. If you are listening to the podcast, please rate the episode, leave a review if you want. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys on the next episode. Bye.